My name is Sarah. Standing in the hallway, watching my father crumple to the floor in defeat, I felt a strange mix of relief and exhaustion. The room was filled with the sounds of chaos, shouting, sirens, and the panicked voice of a man who had just realized the gravity of his actions. It was over. After years of being belittled and ignored, I had finally turned the tables on him. Let me take you back to the beginning. I grew up in a wealthy family, but it was far from a happy one. My father, Dr. Henry, was a well-known plastic surgeon with an ego the size of a mansion. He was cold, arrogant, and only cared about his own status and wealth. My mother was a passive woman who always took my father's side. When I was 19, I got accepted into the state's top social work program. I was over the moon, dreaming of making a difference in people's lives. But my father saw it as a waste of time and talent. In the grand library of our mansion, he took my acceptance letter, crumpled it, and threw it into the fireplace. You want to be a do-gooder? Go ahead, but don't expect me to support you, he sneered. From that day on, he cut me off, refusing to speak to me or even acknowledge my existence. But I didn't give up. While he was busy building his empire of cosmetic surgeries and flashy parties, I worked double shifts at low-paying jobs. I put myself through night school, surviving on instant noodles and a burning desire for revenge. I earned my master's in public administration and slowly climbed the ranks in the state health fund. Eventually, I became a senior program officer with the power to approve or reject large grants. 6 months ago, my father's application for a $25 million grant for a called Center for Dignity Recovery landed on my desk. I saw through his scheme right away. The budget was filled with inflated numbers and shell companies. Instead of using the money to help the vulnerable, he planned to line his own pockets. I could have easily rejected it, but I wanted him to pay for all the pain he had caused me. So I played the long game. I approved the preliminary rounds, letting him believe he had already won. He booked a grand hotel, ordered the most expensive lobster and vintage wine, and invited all the important people in the city to his gala. He thought he was on top of the world. Little did he know that he was walking into a trap. At the gala, he took the microphone and humiliated me in front of 300 guests. "Ladies and gentlemen, meet my daughter." "A total waste of good genetics," he said with a shark-like smile. Everyone laughed, thinking it was a joke. But I had a wireless microphone in my sleeve, and I was ready to expose him. I stepped out of the shadows and walked onto the stage. The click of my heels on the marble floor silenced the room. I took the microphone from his hand and told the crowd that I was the senior program officer for the state health fund, with the power to veto his grant. I opened the folder I had brought and started to expose the financial mismanagement and fraud in his proposal. The look on his face was priceless, from arrogance to shock to fear in an instant. I formally rejected his application and walked off the stage. But the fight wasn't over yet. As I was leaving through the service doors, he came after me, drunk and enraged. He grabbed my wrist and started to threaten me, saying I had ruined his reputation and that he would destroy me. He thought he had an ace up his sleeve. He pulled out his phone and threatened to stop paying for my grandmother's nursing home. But I was one step ahead. I had moved her to a new place and paid for a year in advance. Then I showed him the photos I had taken of all the evidence of his tax fraud and embezzlement. I told him that I had already uploaded it to the IRS Criminal Investigation Division. His face turned pale as he realized that his empire was about to crumble. He tried to bargain, but it was too late. The federal agents were closing in. I watched as he slid to the floor, begging for mercy. I got into my car and called my grandmother. "It's done," I said. "He can't hurt us anymore." As I drove away, I didn't look back. I knew that sometimes being overlooked can be your greatest advantage. And in the end, truth always prevails.